Hi, it's Worshipful Wednesday. It's Pastor Paul L. Anderson here at the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship, where we believe God's blessings never stop flowing. We thank God we're right in the middle of the week. It's that time in which you and I ought to be at the peak of our praise. Let's take a moment to tell God thank you for the wonderful things He's done for us, with us, in us, and through us. Throw our hands up in the air and tell the Lord, Lord, I surrender all. I'm reaching up to you because I need your help and I need your guidance. Today, as we continue telling about the goodness of God and sharing out of the Old Testament. Today, I ask that you look with me at 1 Chronicles, the 10th chapter, beginning at the first verse. This is where we get the continuation as we hear about the death of King Saul. Well, 1 Chronicles, the 10th chapter, and the first verse is almost a restatement of exactly what takes place in 1 Samuel in that last chapter, when we find out that Saul and his men in their quests, always fighting against the Philistines, they make an attack on the mountain slopes of Gilboa. It is there that we find out that King Saul and 3 of his sons are down killed. Jonathan is one of those. They were fighting, and the fighting grew very fierce, and everybody surrounded Saul. Saul now finds himself caught up where an archer has hit him with a bow, and he knows that he cannot live. The Philistines take their swords to kill him, but he decides he will not be killed by these pagans. He asks his armor bearer, if you would, please take my life. His armor bearer refuses to do it. And so Saul takes his own sword and he falls upon it and kills himself. And his armor bearer does the same. The Philistines come and they do something that is very interesting. They take him, they strip him of all of his armor. This is the public show that he has no power. It's a public show to let everybody know that he is not king. He is not in charge. Not only do they strip him and his men of his armor, as well as his sons, they also cut his head off and display it in their temple to their God, to let everybody know that they have beat the Israelites and they've defeated their king. But we find out that God has always shared with Israel how he wants to be with them and lead them and guide them. It is now the Israelites find themselves in a very unique situation. Their king, the one that they had chosen, the one that they wanted to lead them, is now dead. His men come and they take his body, not only his body, but the body of his sons and the others, and they buried their bones beneath a great tree at Gabash. It is then we find out that they not only bury him, but they fast for 7 days. This becomes very intriguing to me because it lets us see that after Saul dies, these men who were unfaithful to the Lord, just as Saul were, they all find themselves losing the battle. This begins to remind all of us, we must be faithful to what God has called us to do. We can never stray away. We can never listen to the voices that are in our head, but we must listen to the voice that speaks from the lips of God to tell us what we need to do. Saul failed in following the commandments of the Lord. And for that reason, the Lord allowed him to no longer be in leadership and those who were with him. And so the Philistines kill him. And the kingdom is now turned over to David, who is the son of Jesse. Remember, this was the man that David finds himself now being in position. This is the man David who had been running from Saul because he loved Saul. He would never fight him and would do nothing to kill him. This is the man that God has chosen for the hour, the man that was anointed by Samuel. This is now the man who will become the king over all Israel. You know, it's amazing, my brothers and sisters. This begins to remind us that God tells us to be ready for when our time comes. Because when there are those that God has placed in leadership opportunities and positions, and they have strayed away from listening to God and hearing what God has said, and no longer ask God for leadership, guidance, and direction, it will always come to their demise and to all of our demise. I want to remind you, may all of us, as pastors, all of us as the people of faith, listen to the voice of God, because whenever we listen to the voice of God, we'll never stray. We'll sing the song, Lord, let me walk each day with thee. Lead me, O Lord, to victory. May the Lord continue to lead you, bless you, guide you, and keep you. Take the Lord with you everywhere you go, and we'll talk with you again on tomorrow.
To sow a seed to the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship, visit our newly redesigned website, thefountainofraleigh.org, and select Sow a Seed from the homepage. Also, giving has been made easier with the new Fountain of Raleigh app, available now in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. Download today, select Giving from the main menu, and then follow the directions to complete your giving through Subsplash.
Thank you so very much for all of your gifts and donations that you've given to the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship. We thank you for what you've done in the past, what you're currently doing, and what you will do in the future. Your gifts and donations helps us to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, not only locally, but throughout the world. Thank you again for your gifts, and may God continue to richly bless you. It is here at the Fountain that we believe that we are exceedingly and abundantly blessed, and may you receive those blessings that God has in store for you.